And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved.
G'day, and welcome to ComicsMATE, your mates in comics from the land down under. My name's Dean James, and today we're going to be talking about the absolute filth that has infested the comic book industry and is now killing all the comic book stores. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and we'll jump right into this article from Popverse. Do happy readers buy fewer comics? Writer Joshua Williamson believes so, and he calls it a hard lesson from working at DC. News by Graham McMillan, staff writer. Holy crap, look at this guy. He looks exactly like those goddamn soy boy memes that you always see. Why do they always look like that? If you've ever wondered just why your favorite characters can never catch a break for any significant period of time, there's a very simple explanation. Happiness sells fewer comics. Sometimes people get really angry and they spend money, which is the saddest thing, according to Joshua Williamson, explained during a recent conversation with Popverse. I mean, that's just straight up bullshit. I can tell you right now that ever since I've become unhappy with the comic book industry pushing woke crap from the cancel pigs down my throat, I have steadily decreased the amount of comics I've been buying, when I used to be a weekly buyer. So much so that my local comic book shop recently said to me, "Hey Dean, I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, you wonder fucking why, mate?" But it's been a hard lesson that I've learned from DC. It's that when people are happy, they spend less. It sucks, but it's a pattern I've seen in my time at DC. Again, that's bullshit. I've always bought more comic books from DC than Marvel, and when they were doing good things, like when Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo were working on Batman back in the New 52, I was buying every single cover of every single issue. Same with Aquaman and Spider-Man when they were doing good. I actually own most of the Spawn comics that have ever been published. Well, let's continue. There's no small amount of common sense behind this. Yeah, there's no small amount of common sense behind it because it's not true, mate. You're just trying to excuse the actual problem we're dealing with in the comic industry, not just DC, with a pathetic deflection, which I've already discussed in my other video just the other day. Superhero titles aren't meant to be filled with stories of happy people doing happy things. I mean, sure, that's the one true thing in this article so far. The genre is inherently built on conflict. Yeah, conflict inside the comic book with fictional characters, not conflict in real life that you get from all the activist writers talking mad shit with their fans, as they disrespect the characters, calling all their fans Nazis and bigots. Since the advent of Stan Lee's Marvel era, a fair helping of emotional angst, in other words, seeing your heroes hurt, is part of the whole appeal of a superhero fiction. Thankfully, Williamson understands that, and understands how to make that work as well. I mean, I highly doubt that just reading from this quote here. I've never heard of Williamson, so I don't know if his writing is any good or not, but I can tell from this quote alone that he either doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's deliberately trying to misconstrue the argument so he can run defense for the cancer that is woke politics. I don't want to make anybody mad, the writer of titles like Skybound's Duke and DC's The Flash, Green Arrow, and Superman said. Is that in recent years, since the comics have become overbearingly woke and terrible? Everybody remembers what Tom King did to Superman and his son, turning him into a flamboyantly gay pissant, prancing around with the most pathetic-looking parody of a gay man, pink hair and all, before protesting climate change when, as Superman, he would actually have the power to fix any of the problems we are facing with the climate, assuming there is actually a problem with the climate and it's not just another left-wing talking point, which is highly unlikely. But you're not that guy, are you? That's the only time Superman has been in the headlines recently, and that definitely wasn't you. The thing is that I would want to say, first and foremost, trust me. No, I'm not going to trust you. It's not just about, oh, I want to piss people off. It sure seems like it with this terrible take. That's not what you're doing at all. What you want to do is you want to establish some kind of trust first, and then say, listen, this is going to be a roller coaster ride. It's going to be crazy at times. There's going to be some ups and downs, and it's going to be nuts. But trust me, come on this ride with me. That's the thing though, isn't it? People aren't going on these rides with you anymore because the people behind the scenes have insulted too many of the fans. He continued, in any kind of story, the character kind of has to go through it. They have to go through hard times so they can reveal who they are. It's one of those rules of Pixar. They talk about this a lot. You root for them for trying. They have to try and they have to kind of get beaten up. Man, when you're watching anything, any movie or reading a book, and the character just gets the crap kicked out of them, and then they get up and they're just like, let's keep going. I'm going to keep going. It's like Captain America saying, I can do this all day. That's the stuff that you're like, hell yeah. Yeah, again, inside the fictional world. You woke idiots have lambasted all of the fans in real life, and that's what's causing all the problems with the sales. Not that we are too happy. In other words, keep your readers and your characters on their toes, but don't only beat them down. They've got to have a chance to get back up every now and then. Straight off the bat, this Josh Williamson dude is trying to make out as if the drama and the conflict and all the other problems that you face inside the story are the same as in the real life, you know? Like, you're allowed to lambaste your fans. Oh, it's just kayfabe, bro. Shut up. If any of this was true, we wouldn't have been dealing with things like what this Fandom Pulse article says. Mark Miller reveals yet another local comic shop shutting down in ominous start to 2024 for the comic book industry. That's because 2023 was the worst year in comics to ever be recorded. The activists masquerading as writers and artists are more comfortable than ever pushing their weird political bullshit down everyone's throats, forcing people to believe that if you're not an ally, you're a Nazi, ist, or phobe, and that's just not true. In a sad turn of events, Mark Miller revealed today Comictown in Ohio closed down. The owner of Comictown in Ohio, Ryan Seymour, was one of the retailers that Miller interviewed in December last year, following the cancel pigs piling on a comic book retailer lamenting the quality of Marvel and DC Comics. And they were completely right. Those comic book salesmen loved comics so much that they opened a store, and now their stores are all dying because of the crap coming out of the mainstream companies. But the creators at the time just tried to pretend that they don't like comics, or that they don't like change, and that's just not the way it is. The retailers and Miller warned of the decline of comic book sales, and pointed out that the public is being gaslit by insiders and shills into believing that all is fine with the industry. That's exactly right. We are being gaslit. They have hired shills and trolls with alt accounts that are used to promote their shit, but there's no evidence of actual fans of this woke era of comic books, the era that's finally coming to an end in 2024, the year that woke dies. Miller tweeted, "Gutted to hear Comictown in Ohio has closed down after 30 years in business." 30 years. The owner, Irish Rye 39, flew me out for a signing years ago. Both he and Vantage in-house remain pals of mine to this day. Good luck in your next venture, Ryan. Awful to see great stores like this closing. And coincidentally, Ryan was on my retailer roundtable last month talking about the drop in the direct market for American comic books. Really sad about this. Comictown was a total delight to visit. And we have a screenshot of that right here, Miller World, Mr. Mark Miller, on X, formerly known as Twitter. Comictown in Ohio was a renowned haven for comic book enthusiasts situated in Columbus. Boasting a vast inventory of comics, graphic novels, and collectibles, this comic shop stood out for its diverse selection and welcoming atmosphere. A welcoming atmosphere is basically alien to the comic book community these days, with the fans constantly abused by freaks like Mags Visaggio, a man in a dress who Marvel keeps propping up as a creator even though he's just a diversity hire and activist in disguise. Comictown had a commitment to fostering a vibrant community. Comictown hosted events, signings, and gaming nights, which attracted fans from all walks of life. The knowledgeable and friendly staff contributed to the store's appeal, providing recommendations and insights. Comictown offered a haven where passion for comics was celebrated, whether you were a seasoned collector or a casual reader. Here we have the meme of Mark Waid crying because he really is one of the biggest bitches in all of the industry. He no doubt has me blocked. The closing down of Comictown in Ohio marks the end of a long-standing cultural and community hub for comic book enthusiasts. It signifies a loss of a unique space where people could explore diverse comic book selections, attend events, and engage in the vibrant geek culture. The vibrant geek culture that is now dying from the cancer that is the Whisper Network and their cancel pigs. Until they get rid of the freaks that have been called out by Penny Parker and many others, they're never going to recover. The closing reflects broader challenges facing brick and mortar comic book stores in an age where comic book insiders like Mark Waid and Donny Cates would rather attack retailers than admit that Marvel and DC Comics have been producing subpar products. Mark Waid being one of the biggest far-left pieces of shit in the industry who suffers from Trump derangement syndrome, and Donny Cates being one of the biggest clowns I've ever seen in my life, literally crying on stream about hate and bigotry in the industry. Not only does Marvel and DC IP holders not care about the characters of these IPs, but they don't care about the fans, nor do they care about the retailers. We at Fandom Pulse are also gutted to hear about the closure and wish Ryan Seymour all the best in his future ventures. But Dean, one comic book store closing doesn't mean that the industry is in shambles and that the medium is dying. That's a nice non-argument there, straw man, that I've just made up. But unfortunately, this isn't a new thing. Here we have something from October 29th. 2 of LA's oldest comic stores are closing down. And from Bleeding Cool, 3 comic stores closed in December and 1 opened. From Vancouver is awesome. We can't survive like this. Vancouver comic stores closing after 6 years. A CT comic store completes its final quest as galactic shifts in the industry challenge small independent shops. Pair of popular local comic shops closing at the end of the month. Point is, this has been going on for a very long time. All I did was search up comic book stores closing, and it was a never-ending list of stores, one after the other, every couple of months at the most. And do you know why that is? It's certainly not because readers are happy. They've been the unhappiest they've been in years. So if it was true that happy readers buy fewer comic books and the best way to get customers to buy your book is to get them all riled up, we wouldn't be facing these problems right now. The very medium of American comic books may actually come to an end very soon. If it wasn't for the indie comic book scene, American comic books would have died out a long time ago. It's no wonder manga are replacing them in whatever stores are left. And that's all I have for you today. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I read all of the comments, so, feel free to let me know what you think down below, and I'll more than likely respond to you. I'll see you tomorrow.